Hey y'all, it's Kim. So I found this document. It's from the Holocaust Encyclopedia. I'm interested in a lot of history and stuff like that. And I started reading about some of the things unfortunately Hitler was involved with, but this is the Nuremberg race laws, and it says the Nuremberg race laws were two in a series of key decrees, legislative acts, and case law in the gradual process by which the Nazi leadership moved Germany from a democracy to a dictatorship. I'm gonna let this play, and I want it just to be like the narrated version because I don't know how YouTube's gonna flag it if it'll even let it play, but or like actually stay on there. But I'm gonna press this and then we'll just follow along. I want to learn about this kind of stuff, just out of curiosity and how the hell he was able to get away with the stuff he got away with for so long. But anyway, let's go ahead and start this.
The Nuremberg Race Laws were two laws in a series of key decrees, legislative acts, and case law in the gradual process by which the Nazi leadership moved Germany from a democracy to a dictatorship. Background: two distinct laws passed in Nazi Germany in September 1935 are known collectively as the Nuremberg Laws, the Reich Citizenship Law, and the Law for the Protection of German Blood and German Honor. These laws embodied many of the racial theories underpinning Nazi ideology. They would provide the legal framework for the systematic persecution of Jews in Germany. Adolf Hitler announced the Nuremberg Laws on September 15, 1935. Germany's parliament, the Reichstag, then made up entirely of Nazi representatives, passed the laws. Anti-Semitism was of central importance to the Nazi Party, so Hitler had called parliament into a special session at the annual Nazi Party rally in Nuremberg, Germany. Reich Citizenship Law. The Nazis had long sought a legal definition that identified Jews not by religious affiliation, but according to racial anti-Semitism. Jews in Germany were not easy to identify by sight. Many had given up traditional practices and appearances and had integrated into the mainstream of society. Some no longer practiced Judaism and had even begun celebrating Christian holidays, especially Christmas, with their non-Jewish neighbors. Many more had married Christians or converted to Christianity. According to the Reich Citizenship Law and many ancillary decrees on its implementation, only people of, quote, German or kindred blood could be citizens of Germany. A supplementary decree, published on November 14th, the day the law went into force, defined who was and was not a Jew. The Nazis rejected the traditional view of Jews as members of a religious or cultural community. They claimed instead that Jews were a race defined by birth and by blood. Despite the persistent claims of Nazi ideology, there was no scientifically valid basis to define Jews as a race. Nazi legislators looked, therefore, to family genealogy to define race. People with three or more grandparents born into the Jewish religious community were Jews by law. Grandparents born into a Jewish religious community were considered racially Jewish. Their so-called racial status passed to their children and grandchildren. Under the law, Jews in Germany were not citizens, but subjects of the state. This legal definition of a Jew in Germany covered tens of thousands of people who did not think of themselves as Jews or who had neither religious nor cultural ties to the Jewish community. For example, it defined people who had converted to Christianity from Judaism as Jews. It also defined as Jews people born to parents or grandparents who had converted to Christianity. The law stripped them all of their German citizenship and deprived them of basic rights. To further complicate the definitions, there were also people living in Germany who were defined under the Nuremberg Laws as neither German nor Jew, that is, people having only one or two grandparents born into the Jewish religious community. Those considered mixed race individuals were known as Mischlinge. They enjoyed the same rights as racial Germans, but these rights were continuously curtailed through subsequent legislation. Law for the Protection of German Blood and German Honor. The second Nuremberg Law, the law for the protection of German blood and German honor, banned marriage between Jews and non-Jewish Germans. It also criminalized sexual relations between them. These relationships were labeled as race defilement, called Rassenschande in German. The law also forbade Jews to employ female German maids under the age of 45, assuming that Jewish men would force such maids into committing race defilement. Thousands of people were convicted or simply disappeared into concentration camps for race defilement. Significance of the Nuremberg Laws. The Nuremberg Laws reversed the process of emancipation, whereby Jews in Germany were included as full members of society and equal citizens of the country. More significantly, they laid the foundation for future anti-Semitic measures by legally distinguishing between German and Jew. For the first time in history, Jews faced persecution not for what they believed, but for who they or their parents were by birth. In Nazi Germany, no profession of belief and no act or statement could convert a Jew into a German. Many Germans who had never practiced Judaism or who had not done so for years found themselves caught in the grip of Nazi terror. While the Nuremberg Laws specifically mentioned only Jews, the laws eventually extended to Black people and Roma and Sinti, pejoratively referred to as gypsies, living in Germany. The definition of Jews, Black people, and Roma as racial aliens facilitated their persecution in Germany. During World War II, many countries allied to or depended on Germany enacted their own versions of the Nuremberg Laws. By 1941, Italy, Hungary, Romania, Slovakia, Bulgaria, Vichy France, and Croatia had all enacted anti-Jewish legislation similar to the Nuremberg Laws in Germany. Translation. Reich Citizenship Law of September 15, 1935. The following is translated from Reichsgesetzblatt 1, 1935, page 1146. The Reichstag has unanimously enacted the following law, which is promulgated herewith. Article 1. 1. A subject of the state is a person who enjoys the protection of the German Reich and who in consequence has specific obligations toward it. 2. The status of subject of the state is acquired in accordance with the provisions of the Reich and the Reich Citizenship Law. Article 2. 1. A Reich citizen is a subject of the state who is of German or related blood and proves by his conduct that he is willing and fit to faithfully serve the German people and Reich. 2. Reich citizenship is acquired through the granting of a Reich citizenship certificate. 3. The Reich citizen is the sole bearer of full political rights in accordance with the law. Article 3. The Reich Minister of the Interior, in coordination with the Deputy of the Führer, will issue the legal and administrative orders required to implement and complete this law. Nuremberg, September 15, 1935, at the Reich Party Congress of Freedom. The Führer and Reich Chancellor, signed Adolf Hitler. The Reich Minister of the Interior, signed Frick. Law for the Protection of German Blood and German Honor of September 15, 1935. The following is translated from Reichsgesetzblatt 1, 1935, pages 1146 to 1147. Moved by the understanding that purity of German blood is the essential condition for the continued existence of the German people, and inspired by the inflexible determination to ensure the existence of the German nation for all time, the Reichstag has unanimously adopted the following law, which is promulgated herewith. Article 1. 1. Marriages between Jews and citizens of German or related blood are forbidden. Marriages nevertheless concluded are invalid, even if concluded abroad to circumvent this law. 2. Annulment proceedings can be initiated only by the state prosecutor. Article 2. Extramarital relations between Jews and citizens of German or related blood are forbidden. Article 3. Jews may not employ in their households female subjects of the state of Germany or related blood who are under 45 years old. Article 4. 1. Jews are forbidden to fly the Reich or national flag or display Reich colors. 2. They are, on the other hand, permitted to display the Jewish colors. The exercise of this right is protected by the state. Article 5. 1. Any person who violates the prohibition under Article 1 will be punished with a prison sentence with hard labor. 2. A male who violates the prohibition under Article 2 will be punished with a jail term or prison sentence with hard labor. 3. Any person violating the provisions under Articles 3 or 4 will be punished with a jail term of up to 1 year and a fine, or with one or the other of these penalties. Article 6. The Reich Minister of the Interior, in coordination with the Deputy of the Fuhrer and the Reich Minister of Justice, will issue the legal and administrative regulations required to implement and complete this law. Article 7. The law takes effect on the day following promulgation, except for Article 3, which goes into force on January 1st, 1936. Nuremberg, September 15th, 1935, at the Reich Party Congress of Freedom. The Führer and Reich Chancellor, signed Adolf Hitler. The Reich Minister of the Interior, signed Frick. The Reich Minister of Justice, signed Dr. Gertner. The Deputy of the Führer, signed R. Hess.
Rudolf Hess.
You have been listening to a version of the article, Nuremberg Race Laws, from the Holocaust Encyclopedia of the United States Holocaust Memorial Museum. Nuremberg Race Laws.
Let me stop it there. Okay, so Nuremberg laws proclaim Hermann Goering, I guess, recites the preamble to the Nuremberg Laws of the Seventh Nazi Party Congress. The laws would define German citizenship by blood and forbade marriages between Germans and Jews. A special session of the Reichstag, or German Parliament, enacted the laws, marking an intensification of Nazi measures against Jews. That's just, I don't know, it's just whatever. There's not much you can do about it now. It's just, I'm just curious about how he was able to gain so much power. But I guess if you get enough people propagandized to do stuff, they'll do anything. All right, so Fritz Gluckstein left on a picnic with his family in Berlin. In Germany in 1932, Fritz's father was Jewish. He attended services in a liberal synagogue, and his mother was Christian. Under the Nuremberg Laws of 1935, Fritz would be considered or classified a mixed race or Mischling, but since his father was a member of the Jewish religious community, Fritz was classified as a Jew. That's kind of interesting. Anyway, I just wanted to look that up. I've just been reading different books on certain things. I was just curious about it. So, anyway, oh, they've got all kinds of articles in here. I may just wait for another day because I don't want to overwhelm YouTube. They may ding me on this one. I'm just curious about this stuff. It's nothing that I'm trying to institute. Hello. Anyway, I will talk to y'all later. Have a good one. Bye.